The Celtics schedule is out. Where are the big games? Where are the pitfalls? I'll talk about it right now on a bonus Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday. Normally, this is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This qualifies as a bonus podcast, I suppose. But whenever something happens for the Celtics, I will be here to podcast for you and hopefully give you a little added perspective. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. It's free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Get into the comment section there. Share your thoughts with your fellow Celtics fans and me, John Karalis. I'm a beat writer covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years now, and I've written a couple of books about the Celtics. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the app. Football season is around the corner. You can start planning your futures bets now. So the Celtics schedule is out, and we'll get into the national TV games, the toughest stretches of the schedule, notable games. But honestly, right away, my first reaction to the schedule coming out, aside from everybody making the joke, Larry Bird, 41 home, 41 away, like, okay, we're in. Yeah, got it. This is as, I think, straightforward a schedule as I've seen for a while. Last year, they had that weird, I think because of the Abu Dhabi preseason, that they didn't want to schedule more travel too soon. So the Celtics had like a back end of the schedule. It was very road heavy. Was it January that they were just like crushed by road games, 2 West Coast swings in rapid succession. So this season it's very kind of normal. They have I think 13 back-to-backs, and honestly, none of them are the crazy, Boston, Miami, Toronto to, New Orleans, or those kind of like stupid ones, the Portland to Utah back-to-back, which is always a killer for teams that need to do that because it's distance, those distance plus time change plus things like altitude, always killers. The Celtics back-to-backs are easy. I mean, look, I'll just run through the back-to-backs for you right now. First one, road, Detroit in New Orleans. That's not that bad, especially Detroit's a 3:30 game. Then you play 8 o'clock the next day in New Orleans, I think in a time zone. I think that's a time zone change. Either way, you're going back. So then you've got Philly on the road and Houston at home. Easy. Philly to Boston, easy. Another road, Philly, home to Memphis. That's to play Memphis. An easy back-to-back. 2 road games, Minnesota and Cleveland is a back-to-back. That's not so bad. Let's get into December. Washington on the road, home to play the Lakers on the 5th. You don't want to play the Lakers on a back-to-back, but hey, you know what? It's Washington to Boston, not that bad, especially now that's a 3-game and 4-night stretch, but again, not that bad. Home game against Miami, fly to Toronto. Okay, a little bit of a travel there. Again, you see where I'm going with this? Next back-to-back, 2 home games. Next back-to-back, Brooklyn, Chicago. That brings us into February. Dallas, Houston, easy one. Phoenix, Denver at the end of the month. Not too bad. You going, into altitude, but all things considered, Phoenix to Denver could be a lot worse. March, home game, and then you go to Milwaukee. Where's the other back-to-back there? Charlotte and Atlanta, both on the road. Easy one. April, New York on the road at New York, home to play the Pelicans. Easy. So all of the back-to-backs are very doable. Now you got your 3 games in 4 nights, and there's a 5-game and 7-night stretch, or a 6-game and 9-night stretch in at the end of October. But that stood out to me immediately. All of the back-to-backs that the Celtics play are manageable. You're not switching too many time zones. You're not going too far. A couple of those, the one home, you go to Toronto for the next night. It's okay, right? There's always going to be, if in a back-to-back, there's always going to be one where you're like, well, I'd rather not do that. But they're all totally manageable. So kudos to, the schedule makers for that. I think the Celtics have, look, tough stretches for sure, which I'll get to in the next segment, but it really stands out to me that aside from the same types of things that every other team faces, it's, you have your every other nights. There's no one month that stands out like, oh my God, how are they going to get through January? Remember last year when I did this podcast, it was like, oh man, this is going to be a month. When you get through this month, that's going to be, you're talking about battle tested. So that to me does not exist. What are the notable games? Let's come back. We'll do the notable games. We'll do the toughest stretches of the schedule when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th, put that on your schedule. It's officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans to live, who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ a week before, right before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. So if you want to take a flyer on the MVP race, go for it. If you want to crown your champion in August, do it. Or you can parlay your division winner dark horses. I know I'm around here. People are, I don't want to say excited for the Patriots, but there's good vibes. There's good vibes. Maybe there's something futures wise that you can bet on the Patriots that maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll surprise people. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Make sure you use the tools. As soon as you log on, it'll tell you, set your limit, set your budget. This way you don't have to, it helps you stay under control. We get it. It's sometimes you hit a losing streak or maybe a hot streak and you want to keep rolling. If you hit a rough stretch, the app will help you just be like, okay, calm down. We'll pick this back up a little bit later on. So, but whatever it is that you want to do, go ahead and do it with responsibility. Futures Day is one day and one day only on August 26th. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. More schedule breakdown on the Locked On NBA podcast. I'm going to be joining Jake Madison in a little bit, talking about the NBA schedule, the bigger games, the bigger marquee matchups. So go check that out. Locked On NBA, 2 podcasts on that feed. So make Locked On Celtics your first listen and go check those out. You got something for the drive to work, your lunch, and your drive home. We've got you covered on Locked On. So let's take a look at some of the notable games, the notable home games. I just look at about 10 of them. The home games, November 1st, Houston Rockets, Ime Udoka. It's always a thing, and the Rockets are good, and you get Kevin Durant. So that'll be nice to see KD, nice to see Ime and all of that. The Lakers, like I said before, December 5th. That's a December 5th. It's on the back-to-back. You've got LeBron, Luka. Interestingly enough, when the NBA does their rivalry week, the NBA is doing this whole thing now. They want to classify all this stuff. Everything has to have a week now and all that. Whatever. Okay, fine. I'm not going to rail against it. Celtics Lakers does not fall on rivalry week. The Celtics do not play in rivalry week, so that's an interesting kind of omission again. But talked about the Celtics schedule with Tom. It's very obvious. Like the Celtics have 25 national TV games. That's the 8th most in the league. It's the bottom third of the top tier, right? It's the bottom of the top third is what I'm saying. So they're in the top 33% of teams on national TV, but they're not at the top, if you know what I mean. So Celtics Lakers is just not going to have the same kind of juice this year. If you want to see Nikola Jokić, that's January 7th in Boston. January 10th is Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. Interesting, January 26th and 28th. So consecutive games for the Celtics. The 26th is Drew Holiday in the Trailblazers. And then the next game, the very next home game, Atlanta Hawks, Kristaps Porzingis. So it's going to be like, welcome back, everybody. It's nostalgia week for the Celtics. If you want to go see either of those guys, January 26th, 28th, Giannis Antetokounmpo comes on February 1st. March 6th is your first chance to see Cooper Flag, and at least at home. You get the Warriors on March 18th, and March 25th, the OKC Thunder it's your first chance, your only chance to see the Thunder in town. So that stuff happens late. The potential, I don't know, Al Horford, everybody's assuming he's going to the Warriors, but that's not done yet. So those are your notable home games, and hopefully there's a return for Al Horford there. Season opening game, Philadelphia on the 22nd of October. I like this part of the schedule because preseason games, you have Memphis and Toronto on the road, October 8th and 10th. Then the Celtics come home, Cleveland on the 12th, 2 days off, Toronto on the 15th, then a week off, Philadelphia at home. So they're home for a week and a half. So you got a lot of practice time. This Celtics team is going to need a lot of practice time. So that's good. I'm glad to see that. Philly is kind of a soft opponent right away. So hopefully there's an opening night win. This gets tough pretty quickly, though. So when we talk about tough stretches, this is one right here. Philly at home, then 1 day off, and you have this stretch of Knicks on the road, 1 day off, Pistons, and New Orleans. That's your back-to-back. So you've got a 3 in 4 nights. But then you've got Cleveland at home. You come back for one of those home games, like a road game at home, we like to call it, because you have 3 games on the road, you come home, you play 1 game at home, and then you're back out. And it's only Philly in the next game, but you don't really have time to unpack. You have basically time to come in, drop some stuff off, and then you're out again, a couple of days later. So, and then it's a Philly, Houston back-to-back. So it's Philly in Philadelphia Friday the 31st, and then November 1st, Houston at home at 8 o'clock. So that whole week, it's a back-to-back, day off, home game, day off, back-to-back. And a back-to-back with, some, travel home. So what, 5 games in 7 nights? You want to go to 6 games in 9 nights if you go back to that New York game? There's the potential for a lot of losses in there. They could win that home game against Philly, and then you go loss to New York, maybe a loss to Detroit, Pelicans up in the air. Let's just maybe a win, but lost to Cleveland, Philly. Maybe you're already tired at that point. Houston's, you can kind of peg a loss there. So there's 2 or 3 wins there. Celtics right around 500, I think, heading into November. So that's your first like really tough stretch for the Celtics. Then things kind of calm down a little bit. Utah, Washington at home. Those are bad teams. Maybe you can get a couple of wins under your belt. You go out to Orlando for a couple of days, 2 games in Orlando. The Philly, Memphis, at Philly, back home for Memphis, back-to-back. A lot of games against Philly right away. This is another interesting. The Celtics will have played 3 games against the Philadelphia 76ers in the first 3 weeks of the schedule. And then when's the next time they play Philadelphia? I don't even see them on the schedule again until March 1st. So there's a little quirk in the schedule. Celtics play like Philly, a couple of games, Philly again, couple of games, Philly again, and then months without seeing Philadelphia. And then they get them one more time in March. So that's a weird little quirk. You want to get all of your Sixers, Venom, hate, all of that stuff out of the way. Now, who knows what's going to happen with the NBA Cup? There's also a potential to see Philly again somewhere in that mix because there's a week in December where they don't have anything scheduled necessarily. You got to have a couple of home games there. That's going to be a lot of downtime in December because it's a whole week. So that's a chance to rest up, get your, reassess. It's going to be a good kind of, you've had a month and a half of games. The Celtics are really trying to figure out who do you start, who comes off the bench, all of that, what combinations work together. This is a great opportunity to kind of reassess, say, okay, we've got a lot of time, a lot of practice time, a lot of film time. Let's get it together. We've made our notes. Let's make some adjustments. That stretch out of that little NBA Cup knockout round, Miami, Toronto, Indy, and then a road trip. That's where we might see a few changes. So keep that in mind. This is another tough stretch here. This road trip, the end of December. First of all, no Christmas Day game. They have the 23rd, 24th, and 25th off. So plan your Christmas parties, plan your, you've got plenty. You don't have to worry about a Christmas Eve thing. None of that stuff. The Celtics will be off. You will be home. You will not have to pay attention to anything else. I get to spend some time with my family. I don't have to worry about, Christmas Day games. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you got your Christmas Eve, your Christmas Day off if you celebrate. So, but then this road stretch, this is going to be the longest road trip of the season, where they start off in Indiana. Then you go to Portland, day off, Utah, day off, Sacramento. Yes, there is a day off there. Sacramento, day off, Clippers, and then you come home for 4 games. That's going to be a tough stretch. Even though there's a chance for some wins here, this could be a chance to pile up some wins. You got Miami. Who knows? Again, but now Boston's not going to be great. So I'm not pegging these as automatic wins, but winnable games here. Miami at home, Toronto on the back-to-back, both winnable, potentially. Indiana twice with 3 days off. There's a lot of rest time. Indiana twice, Portland, Utah, Sacramento, all winnable games. The Clippers, maybe, I don't know what the Clippers are going to be, but maybe. So maybe the Celtics can, at the end of December, you've got a lot of rest, a lot of film time, a lot of time at home. This is a great opportunity to kind of like readjust a few things and go up against some lesser competition. And maybe you go on a little bit of a win streak, because there are losing streaks. There are losing streaks on this schedule. And I think coming out of the All-Star break is definitely, there's room for one there. We'll get to that, and we'll get to some of the national TV stuff when we come back. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Again, we are on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule through the first week of September. Then we go back to 5 days a week. Become an everydayer. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It's free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. So please, I love the everydayers, just people who you're in the habit. Wake up. There's a podcast there for you. Boom. And maybe you don't expect one, but if you subscribe, it shows up. You're like, okay, I am going to listen to this. So I do think the Celtics, nothing about this schedule makes me think they're going to be a better than 500 team. I think they are probably a 40-win team. If they win 40 or more games, especially if they become a 500 team or better, obviously this depends on the moves that Brad Stevens makes, but I think your expectation should be 40 wins at the most, which means 37, 38. Okay. 41, 42. Woo. Okay. Yeah. If they can get to 42 wins with this roster, with significant holes in the front court, if they can get to 42, 500 or above, consider that a very successful season. So But there are stretches in this schedule where you're like, okay, I can see, you know, a 4-5 game losing streak happening here. The All-Star break is going to be, you know, an interesting one. You come out of it, you got Golden State, the Lakers, Phoenix, who's going to be a mess, but Denver. You come home to face Brooklyn. You have Philly, Milwaukee, Charlotte, Dallas. Like this every other game stretch. There are, I think, losing streaks. Some, you know, buried in every one of these weeks or months of the schedule. So coming out of the All-Star break, I'm not exactly confident in how that's going to go. The national TV schedule, the Celtics, I said, are on like 25 national TV games. This is how it's going to work. You've got Amazon Prime, that's now a player. You got Peacock, which is now a player. So on Sundays, all season long, okay, Monday's games are going to the national TV games. If the Celtics play a national TV game on Monday, it's on Peacock. On Tuesday, it's on NBC or Peacock or both. Wednesdays on ESPN. Fridays are on Prime Video. You have additionally Thursday Prime Video games that are going to be starting in the middle of the season. ABC, ESPN, Prime Video Saturdays, and ABC, ESPN, Peacock on Sundays, starting in the middle of the season. So all of this is to say, if you want to watch the Celtics, if you are so inclined, you probably want to get the Peacock app. You probably want to get Amazon Prime, or get somebody's passwords for those things. But yeah, that's a new kind of wrinkle to all of this. So the Celtics are going to be on Prime on October 24th, ESPN on the 29th. So on Prime, it's Celtics Knicks on Friday the 24th, Cleveland at Boston on ESPN the 29th, Celtics at Philly on Prime on October 31st, Celtics at Philly again on NBC Peacock on November 11th, Detroit at Boston, 5 o'clock ESPN on November 26th, New York at Boston, NBC Peacock on December 2nd, Lakers at Boston on Amazon Prime on December 5th. That's where you're going to want your Prime. Celtics at Indiana on Prime on the 26th of December. January 12th, Boston at Indiana on Peacock. January 19th, Boston at Detroit on NBC/Peacock. Portland at Boston on January 26th on Peacock. Lots of games on Peacock, folks. Got to get that app. Milwaukee at Boston on ESPN on February 1st. Celtics at Dallas, NBC Peacock, February 3rd. February 8th, New York at Boston, ABC. Finally, an ABC game, normal TV. February 19th, Boston at Golden State, Amazon Prime. Sunday, the February 22nd, Celtics at Lakers, NBC Peacock. February 25th, Celtics at Denver, ESPN. The good thing here is there's not a lot of ESPN games, so you're not going to have to worry about those announcers and those super late crazy starts. March 2nd, Celtics at Milwaukee on Peacock. March 6th, Dallas. You want Cooper Flag? Dallas at Boston on ESPN. March 8th, Boston at Cleveland on ABC. March 12th, Celtics at OKC on Prime. March 16th, Suns at Boston on Peacock. Warriors at Boston, March 18th on ESPN. Timberwolves on the 22nd on NBC Peacock. And finally, Celtics at New York, April 9th on Prime. It was a very boring list, but I had to make sure I was saying all of the places they are so you had an understanding. Lots of Prime, lots of Peacock, lots of all of that stuff. So you have a choice. Like me, you could just like not watch those games and rely on the podcast. I'll be here post game for all of them. I have to subscribe to all of that stuff, which I'm already subscribed to everything because you put one show on one thing and another show on another. And anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole thing about how cutting the cords become more expensive than cable. It was supposed to be cheaper. But anyway, if you want all of the Celtics coverage, if you want all the Celtics games, you're going to have to subscribe to a couple of things, which is annoying. It's an annoying bit here. But okay, ultimately for the Celtics schedule, like I said, straightforward. There will be plenty of 3-game, 4-game, maybe a 5-game losing streak in there. I don't think the Celtics are going to be very good. If Jaylen Brown or Derek White miss any significant time with any kind of injury, it's going to get worse. So looking at the schedule, though, it's almost a shame that this year's team gets this kind of schedule. I wish last year's team got this schedule. So it's so evened out. There's no crazy thing on there. I would have loved last year's team to have this. It would have been easier for them, I think. In this year's team, throw whatever you want at it. I don't care. Throw 20 road games in a row. Give them the San Antonio Spurs rodeo road trip. Do that. I don't care about that for this year's teams. They're not going to be great. So who cares if the schedule kind of goes against them? I saw a thing that I don't know how true this is, but I saw a thing where the Celtics currently have like the easiest strength of schedule when it comes to I don't know, based on last year's records. I don't know how that translates, but I agree that this year's schedule, there's nothing on the schedule that makes me think that you can blame like, oh, okay, well, there are some schedule losses, I'm sure, just like every team, every schedule, but this is as generic, straightforward as the schedule gets. All right, bonus podcast here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow, Flashcard Friday. Here's the thing, because I'm posting this on the middle of the day on Thursday, I'm going to post the Friday show in the middle of the day on Friday. So if you probably listened to this, if you are on your normal podcast schedule, this will be the podcast that you listen to on your way to work, but on your way back, there'll be another podcast because I'll post this one, I'll post a Flashcard Friday with me and Tom kind of like in the middle of the afternoon. So that's the schedule. Another podcast coming. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting in the YouTube section, comment section. That's awesome. I love to see you do that. Then I would love to see you share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.